And he went all through, and I said, Bernie, I said, that's amazing. I'm on the bill. He said, no. This isn't about pride of authorship. I remember his words. No, I want to pass this. You take the bill. That's Bernie Sanders.
During a discussion on the lack of real financial help for people right now, MSNBC host Stephanie Ruhle went after Bernie Sanders for his record in the Senate. Watch this.
You know, Stephanie, I always get a kick. Here in Washington, when we go to war, there's endless amounts of money. Tax breaks for billionaires, endless amounts of money. Corporate welfare, endless amounts of money. When children are going hungry in America today, suddenly we don't have enough money. That's crap. That's wrong. And if we have got to stay here throughout Christmas, which is the last thing in the world that I would want to do, we are going to stay here because we are going to make sure that struggling working families in this country get the help they desperately need.
Senator, I'm not agreeing with you fundamentally, but I want to talk to you practically. You've been the lead sponsor of 422 bills during your 30 years in Congress, but only 7 of them have become law. Given that record and how dire things are, as you just laid out, do you need to find another lane or take a different approach here?
I don't think that's the issue, Stephanie. I mean, you can ask me how many other senators have passed significant legislation in recent years. Question is, you could name post offices and so forth and so on. Some of the legislation that I've worked on, the Veterans Bill, for example, has been very significant in passing. But the issue right now is the United States Congress going to stand up for working people or not?
All right. This is really, man. They even had a graphic. They prepped a graphic. Bernie Sanders is the only person in the Senate actually fighting for people, and they went through the trouble of prepping a graphic to try and show that he hasn't actually done anything. Isn't the real issue is that the rest of Congress is not on board with actually helping working class people? Isn't that the issue here? No, Bernie Sanders is the issue for being the lone voice of reason. It's completely nuts. And you see her Freudian slip at the beginning there. I'm not agreeing with you fundamentally. Clearly, she meant to say I'm agreeing with you fundamentally, but she said I'm not agreeing with you fundamentally. It really is. This is somebody who, by the way, I believe worked in Wall Street. Stephanie Ruhle, incredibly wealthy, of course. Like the vast majority of people on television that are hosting shows come from a position of a certain perspective of the wealthy and really do not know what life is like for most people. Now, let me go through some reactions to this insanity. David Sirota here tweeting out, literally every single person in politics and media knows that the name on a bill metric of evaluation is horseshit in a legislative process involving amendments and getting stuff written into underlying bills. So Stephanie Ruhle is being deliberately, calculatedly, and maliciously deceptive. Now, let me also show you this. I've referenced this a couple times over the years because this is a former Republican congressman. This is Bob Ney. And here he is discussing how effective and how selfless Bernie Sanders is.
So let's talk about Bernie Sanders. You served with him in the Financial Services Committee in the House.
Yes, Financial Services.
So what's your impression of Senator Sanders?
He's amazing. He would come into our office, but he would come down the hallway or in our office, a big thing under his arm, and be like, oh, Bernie's read everything again. Real quick story. He came in my office and he had an amazing idea for cost of living increase to help seniors instead of the ridiculous way we do it. And he went all through, and I said, Bernie, I said, that's amazing. I'm on the bill. He said, no. This isn't about pride of authorship. I remember his words. No, I want to pass this. You take the bill. That's Bernie Sanders. The Bernie Sanders I knew for 11 years, and the Bernie Sanders, Larry Sanders, his brother knows, and the Bernie Sanders you see here today, he's the real deal. Philosophically, do I agree with a lot of things with Bernie Sanders? Some I do, some I don't. I did press conferences of trade bills with him. I love his trade position because trade bills are ruining American workers' lives. But beyond that, even if I don't agree with him, working with the guy was amazing. He got more done than he's been given credit for. He wasn't, like I said, the pride of authorship guy. He was honest. You knew what he said is what you could take to the bank. I can't say enough about the personal integrity and the zest and the tenacity for working people that Bernie Sanders had and has and will have.
Isn't that incredible? And it's the kind of thing where because this is the kind of person Bernie Sanders is, he's never going to push back on Stephanie Ruhle and say, well, actually, I took my name off a bunch of bills so they would actually pass, because he's not in it for himself. And to have a former Republican come out and discuss how Bernie would take his name off of bills so that they would actually pass through a Republican controlled Congress. I mean, it shows you that this was never, it was never about him. It's always about his fight for people. And he was also, look, I can go into more. He was known as the Amendment King. He actually got a lot through because of using amendments. But let me go through a couple of tweets here from Warren Gunnels, close advisor and aide to Bernie Sanders for I guess over a decade now, or decades. So he tweeted out here in response to Stephanie Ruhle, here's some homework for you, Stephanie Ruhle. Now, I'm not going to read through all this as I've done it in the past, because it's really hard for me to read this tiny lettering here. But I will link to his tweet below the video. Warren Gunnels, if you go to his Twitter page, also has this pinned to the top of his page, so you can just go to check his page and see this list here. But he writes, the New York Times doesn't want you to know it, but I am damn proud of the accomplishments Senator Sanders and our staff have achieved in the Senate and the House, both inside and outside the Beltway. Here's just 20 of our achievements in the 2 decades I've worked with him. I'll link to all this below the video. He's done a lot, but he never gets the credit for it, and part of the reason is because he takes his name off of bills so that they would actually pass. I mean, that shows you the kind of person he is. One last thing here from Warren Gunnels. Major bills Bernie did not sponsor: the Iraq War, NAFTA, the Wall Street bailout, extending the Bush tax breaks for the 1%, the repeal of Glass-Steagall, permanent normal trade relations with China, the $740 billion defense bill, and quote-unquote welfare reform from the 90s. So there you go. Bernie Sanders always fighting for working class people, and while doing that, always getting attacked by the media.